All right. Hello, Doc, alcoholic addict, amongst other things.
What's up, Doc?
Hi, Doc.
And welcome to another fantastic edition of Sober School. Anybody guess what we're talking about today?
Fear.
Man, you are good. Yeah, I was planning on doing this. I was gonna do this I think 3 weeks ago, but we went with words to live by upon request. And I really think, man, as often the case, things worked out exactly as they should, because I had a great week full of object lessons for fear. Starting off, I was working the other day on the west side, and they gave me the wrong key, and I had to go back to the office to get the right key. And I was over on campus and going down Northwestern, and my brakes failed. Doing about 35 down a hill. About midway down the hill, I was doing about like 42, something like that. But yeah, it definitely had me thinking about fear. But it's different now. You do the things, you do what's within your control, and of course I cut my emergency brake about a month ago, so that wasn't in my control. So I put on my hazards and kind of like rubbed the tire up against the curb a little bit, try and slow myself down. It helped a little bit, but as I'm approaching that, you guys know that really busy intersection, like right there by the Circle K, where like just droves of students cross the intersection diagonally regardless of what the light says. That's what I was hurtling towards at 42 miles per hour. And in that moment, I was concerned. But what I was concerned about is a lot different from what the sort of thing I used to be concerned about. Anybody else? That's kind of a butthole puckering-esque experience, you know? I was, what's the word? Powerless. To slow down. You're on this thing, I'm going down, things are going downhill, literally and figuratively. But what I was concerned about in that moment, what I was afraid of was, God, I don't want to hit anybody. There's a whole line of cars I could have slowed myself down to a stop and messed up some cars. Don't really do that. That would have been kind of a dick move. But my main concern was, I'm not gonna hurt anybody. I'm not gonna let my situation hurt anybody else, to the point where I was literally sizing up trees on the side of the road. I was looking for a nice medium-sized tree, because you don't want to go. It's like picking a switch when you're a kid. You don't want to go too thick, because that's really going to mess you up. But if you go too thin, it's going to break, and you're going to have to go over again. Same type shit. But I was literally, in all honesty, my main concern, I knew I'm going to do everything I can right. And I was like, I know I'm living righter than I ever have, and that it's a very honest instance. It's one of those instances where you find out where your head's at and where your heart's at. I don't know if anybody's almost died before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just barely dodged a bullet or a train or something. But what goes through your head in that moment is about as honest as you can get. What you're thinking about when you think you're gonna die. Are you happy with all the decisions you've made? When they say your life flashes before your eyes, and I did think about my boy, and it's messed up because you know what I was doing right before my brakes failed. I was praying for a friend of mine who's having a hard time. And one of the things I always pray for him is, please watch over and protect all those I love and care about as you watch over and protect me. I got about that far and my brakes failed. And in that moment, honestly, I wasn't worried about I wasn't worried about how things were going to end for me. My only concern in that moment was other people, and that's a big difference. And it's there is I've been through instances like that before. Like all right, so after COVID, I lost my house, and me and my son's mom and my adult autistic son were living in my Subaru. Like we'd lay the back down and stuff, so he'd have a place to lay down. Me and her would sleep in the front seat. But it's needless to say, stressful situation, and she also likes to holler. And my son, being autistic, does not like loud noises. So she was screeching about something like, and I think about like what we're gonna eat, something like that. She was just screaming at me, and Jude just wanted the screeching to stop, and he could tell because mom was yelling at me, I must be doing something wrong. So he proceeded to start mule kicking me in the side of the head from the back seat. That swole me up pretty good. He rung my bell. That's all. I've been hit by a truck and not got my bell rung like he did that day. Split my eye open above and below the eye. And I swerved a little bit because I was getting kicked in the face. And one of the motorists called the police. Gave him the description, license number, and the direction. I pulled into the Meyer gas station, got Jude calmed down, and was immediately surrounded by 3 squad cars with officers with their guns drawn, pointed at my son. And in that instance, it's easy. Okay, like didn't hesitate. Okay, I got in between my son and the guns, because like that's what you do. Didn't think for a second. Didn't hesitate. No, nothing bad's gonna happen to somebody else. And it's easy to say, oh, somebody bucks with somebody you care about. That's a lot more relatable and stuff. But at the exact same calm, and this is what I need to do, was going through my head when I got between the police and my son, is when I was looking for trees to crash into. Because that was the next right thing. It's not, I don't recommend crashing into trees. It's to be avoided as much as is possible. But if not crashing into a tree was going to let somebody get hurt, like, okay, which tree am I going to crash into? No, like, and it's the reason my brain is wired like this now has to do with this program. Because all right, the big book on page 67 says, this short word somehow touches every aspect of our lives. Like it's the many defects of character, like resentment, dishonesty, pride, selfishness, are all rooted in fear. Ultimately. And recognizing how this fear shapes our decisions allows us to start detaching from it and act from faith instead. Because in that moment, I had faith. Okay. If in that super scary situation, I wasn't scared. I was concerned. I was concerned of like the consequences of my actions, and it's a huge paradigm shift. And step 4, like, directly calls for a searching and fearless moral inventory, and that's scary. it really is. Like, meaning we must look fear in the face rather than avoid it, because it's nothing's gonna. If there was something that could change the things we're afraid of, we would do it, like serenity prayer, that stuff. And okay, we can do something about it so we don't have to be afraid. Absolutely do it. But there's stuff that's scary, and there's nothing we can do about it. And anybody know what memento mori means? Anybody? It's Latin. In essence, loosely translated, it means remember, someday you'll die. Super uplifting class, Doc. Way to go. But no, like, okay, that's something we are not in control of. We have no power over that. We can do things to influence our lives, but the one thing about life is nobody gets out alive. Abraham Lincoln said, it's not about the amount of years in your life, it's about the amount of life in your years. How we're spending our lives. Because this is we're in a day that we were not promised but given. Like, this is a huge. Any day you wake up, yeah, any day above ground is a good day. It's an opportunity, and we only have so many opportunities. Like, and a lot of people don't figure that out till it's too late, or they're almost to the end of the run, and they look back and go, "Oh man, I wasted all this time." Like, you think you're gonna be on your deathbed going, "Man, I wish I'd looked at more TikToks." You think it's gonna work out like that? Or, man, I wish I'd shared more memes, or beat my high score. That's not what you're gonna be thinking about. You're like, man, the root of those sort of regrets is the stuff that we could have done, things we could have done and didn't. That's what we're going to be thinking about. But if we live a life by doing the next right thing and praying only for our higher power, knowledge of our higher power's will for us and the power to carry that out, like, because that's how I've been living my life. In an instance when I should have been terrified, like crapping my pants, like afterwards my hand didn't even shake. Like, I wasn't concerned, man. I know I'm doing right, and if I die right now, I lived a good life. Wish I'd lived more good. Like, but yeah. I wish I'd crammed more good into my life. But even when I was shitball, like, relatively, I tried to do good. But in that moment, like, man, okay, this might be the last one. This might be the last moment I get. And like, okay, I know I was good. Like, I even finished my prayer, because it's important to finish the things you start. One of the first times I remember being really afraid of dying, and this also happens to be one of the first times I really prayed the hardest. Like, I did the whole like token prayers at church and stuff, and like, okay, we're praying, and then you say the stuff they're saying. Did a lot of that. I'm from the desert. I'm not sure if you're familiar. Not a lot of water. So I wasn't the best swimmer. Like, by definition, less than 6 inches of rain per year. But I digress. So got to go to California and go swim in the ocean. Awesome, super cool beach, just like in the movies. And So I go out swimming because I could doggy paddle, I could tread water. All right. So I'd swam in pools before. Never my own pool. Usually hopped over a fence, but I knew how to swim. But I wouldn't categorize myself as a strong swimmer. And I'm like, I'd never been in the ocean before, so I'm like swimming out and splashing, playing with my brother, and go a little bit further. And I didn't know that like you really shouldn't go out too far when tide's going out. And I got pulled out like pretty far. Like I couldn't see my family anymore. Like there wasn't anybody swimming out where I was at, and I was scared because like I was getting tired, and the waves were breaking right there, and like I was trying to swim against the I was trying to swim against the current as the tide's going out, and every wave just beat me and like take more out of me. Like I'd be trying to swim, just get smashed over and over and over again by wave after wave. Yeah, I was thinking that too. It's a good one. It's a good one. It's a banger. And so like I'm starting like breathing in some water, and so I started praying. I'm like, God, like I really need some help. I've like I'm trying to do what I know how to do, and I can't. It is not ending well. Like every time I try and swim toward shore, I get hit with another wave. And I just at the moment, okay, like because swimming wasn't working. My ability to swim wasn't working. I knew how to do two other things in water. I knew how to sink. That was an option. I also knew how to float on my back. Just relax. You got to relax and stuff. And I just floated on my back. And I just pointed my head towards shore and floated on my back. And I'd look and see where the beach was at. And I'd kick. And when the waves was working for me, I'd kick and move a little bit closer to shore. And when the waves were breaking down on me, just focused on staying afloat and staying relaxed. And just because waves are big, like way bigger than any of us. Like if you try and like fight against a crashing wave, who do you think's gonna win? The wave, every time. So when things are going in your favor, just make sure you're pointed in the right direction. And when they're not, just focused on staying afloat. But always keep your eyes on ultimately your destination, where you're trying to get to. And this searching and fearless moral inventory is so huge in that. Like the Fearless in the Big Book helps uncover how fear blocks honesty, intimacy, and growth. Like you're not gonna improve your life. You're not gonna get better. You're not gonna get bigger if you're trying to stay comfortable. Like, oh, I feel safe here. I'm not scared of where I'm at. Like, because this is I know this dumpster fire. I'm comfortable here. And if you're just like we were talking about yesterday about the whole like I'm not gonna tell the wetting the bed story again, but you're not gonna know intimacy. You're not gonna have positive relationships. If I open myself up to this person, and it's not always gonna end well, but if you remain closed because you're scared, it's 100% not gonna end well. It's not gonna be anything at all, but you just being afraid. Man, I don't want to put myself out there like that. I'm scared. What if they hurt me? What if they cheat on me? What if they lie to me? It's fear. All of it. Like what keeps us from growing, what keeps us from having positive relationships, what fills us full of resentment is fear. All of it. And like resentments are fear in disguise 90% of the time. Fear of losing something, of being less than, being hurt again. And by identifying the fear underneath that shit, underneath the resentment, step 4 turns emotional pain into spiritual insight. Judo that shit. Like the bad that happened, the bad shit we have in our lives, the stuff we feel some sort of way about, by understanding it, because that shit has power over us. Because we live in fear. I was so fucking scared before. Like, so fucking scared. I was scared to fucking... I'm definitely scared to answer the door, because I mean, you're knocking on my door. Fucking, unless I called you for a bag. Nothing good's gonna come of this. You're probably gonna fucking serve me something or put me in fucking handcuffs. Scared when the phone rang. I couldn't open my fucking mail. Like I couldn't open I can look at the fucking coupons because there might be a bill underneath, and it just stack up and stack up and stack up, and that information didn't change. And there's times when I missed out on stuff that would have helped me because I was scared to open that first piece of mail in the pile, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger because of fucking fear. And this understanding of our fear prepares us for steps 5 through 7. Like the act of just writing it. Like I always say, like putting stuff into words changes how the way your brain processes that information. And it's a fact. And it's a little bit easier to write stuff or journal about it, because it's still, you're still keeping it to yourself, but you're processing, you're putting words to it, you're figuring that shit out, and you're taking the power away from it. And then when you get to step 5, because man, I told you guys before, like, man, after, because I had to get help from my sponsor, a lot of help to get through my step 4. Like, man, how do you enter being molested in your sexual inventory? Like, it's the point where I felt fucking bad for the guy. Like, and man, when I was done, my step 4, just all the fucked up shit, all of it, putting it out there, and that was the last time I really.
How do you put something like that? How do you answer the part where you're supposed to say where you played the problem in that?
It's not always. Maybe I should have been more mindful. Like I didn't know better. You know, it was he wasn't like an old man or something. It was just an older kid who lived up the street from me.
But, so I'm
I
saying,
shouldn't
like,
blame myself to where it affected my family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Holding on to that for so long.
Yeah. Well, I was so ashamed, man, and I felt fucking sidebar. I felt when because I was talking to a couple of other kids I hung out with. They were older. They had some cool Matchbox cars, and I was kind of like, couldn't really talk very well back then, but I'm like, I kind of like alluded to like, okay, that's kind of messed up how he did that. And they're like, what? And they ended up talking to their parents, and their parents called the police on him. And I felt bad for the guy. I'm like, man, I got him in trouble. I'm so ashamed. He lived down at the end of my street, and that was the way you had to walk. I lived in the middle of the street. He lived at the end of the street, second last house on the right. And for the rest of the time, I went to school rather than walking down past his house, even because he moved like immediately after. I couldn't walk past his house. because I was scared. So I'd walk to the other end of the street and then double back at like half hour of my walk every day because of fear and shame. And shit, I'm so fucking scared for so long. And I know if I'm doing right, if I'm living right, if I'm doing the next right thing, and honestly, like praying, talking to God, meditating, listening to God, and really just, hey, praying only for knowledge of His will for me. Like, put me where you need me. Protections, corrections, and directions. Keep me safe. Make sure I'm doing it right. And point me in the direction I need to go. And when I'm doing that, I'm not scared anymore. Like, I could die tomorrow. I could live another 60 years. But one thing I don't really have, I have minimal control over that. I'm trying to eat healthy, exercise, all that good stuff. Don't hit trees unless you absolutely have to. Unless you get a really good reason. You know? But I've been struck by lightning 2.5 times.
No.
Yeah. Well, twice directly, once indirectly. I don't recommend that either. It feels a lot like belly flopping on the concrete while pooping your pants. It smells similar as well. But like, I didn't have a lot of control over that. The 0.5 time, the half time, like I was taking a shower, like I was mowing the lawn, like in Phoenix, and I was like super sweaty and covered in lawn clippings. Oh man, monsoon's rolling in. So I went inside and I'm calling it. I'm not gonna do the backyard until tomorrow. And lightning struck my hot water heater. And the shower head exploded, turned the water in the pipes into steam. I got second-degree burns on my face. It was crazy. It like cracked a me-shaped outline in the tile, like a Looney Tunes cartoon. But yeah, there wasn't like no control over that. You could die in my sleep, die while I'm awake. I have no control over that. But through working this program, I'm not really scared of dying anymore. I'm scared of not fucking living.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the big change. There's still concern is still there, fear is still there. But what I'm worried about, I'm not really scared. I'm like, man, that's one of the reasons I get like when I get mad at my phone because I'll be getting texts or like it's not letting me do the things to do because I'm trying to help somebody. I'm trying to text one of my sponsees or trying to do a good job, and I get mad at my phone because man, like what if like I'm trying to answer the phone call because I'm working. I'm like growl or whatever. It's not because I'm fucking phone ringing all the time. I'm like, man, what if somebody needs me? Yeah. But like that's why I get angry. I still get angry because like man, I'm concerned. Like what if I don't answer that phone call in time and one of my people is getting ready to do something like not the next right thing. And that's why you will see me get angry at my phone or like if I'm just trying to do a good job. But it's the reason. All right, so you could define courage as knowing something is going to hurt and is going to be uncomfortable and could go all the way bad and doing it anyway. You could define stupidity as knowing something is going to hurt and going to be uncomfortable and could probably go all the way bad. Like, that's why life's hard. Like, what? If I just decided, oh man, I'm gonna find a good tree to hit. Like, if I drove my car into a tree that would just,
Make
for
you
me, if I drove a car into a tree, for me, that would be dumb AF, as the kids say. But if I chose to drive my car into a tree to prevent people from getting hurt, if I did it for we rather than me, that's that's the distinction. It's the reason, the motives behind it. That's what makes the difference. And good program acronym. Fear is often described as false evidence appearing real. Well, faith is just trust in a higher power and the process of recovery. Like the 12, what the whole purpose of the 12 steps is to gradually replace fear with faith. You're going to still have those concerns, but what those concerns are for and the reason you have them, that's what changes. Like, I don't have to be afraid anymore. I can be concerned. Like, man, am I helping all the people I can help? Am I helping them the way they need it? That's the sort of stuff. Man, I'm concerned. That's the sort of thing I'm concerned about now. And like, when we admit our fears and inventory them, break everything down, we're practicing faith. That honesty will not destroy us. The world's not going to end just because of God and another human being. God already knew. But if you tell another human being the exact natures of your wrong, and we've all done some horrible stuff, and you think, oh man, I know you think, man, nobody will understand that. No, like, man, I did some shitball stuff. Some real dirtball stuff. That, man, they're not going to understand. They're going to think less of me. They're going to think I'm a piece of shit. But you got a decent sponsor. I bet she's probably done some more shit in some aspects. But no, there's no comparison. We've all done horrible, less than ideal things because we've been living in fear. And it's like, even it was about, I don't know, maybe about a year ago. I like
Remove my stuff.
I like fireworks. If anybody knows me, I like fireworks.
Me too.
Blow shit up.
Yeah. We used to do it like every Thursday when we go up to DA in Delphi. We'd like stop and grab a pumpkin,
You should
stop
sell
on the side of the road. That's a felony. I already have an FBI file from elementary school for similar reasons.
them. You can sell for him.
Yeah. Well, that's not the sort of fireworks I like to make. But
Can't call them what we used to call them no more because you gotta call them fireworks.
Yeah. But like, I got these I got a box of these fountains, right? They got like a little launch charge, and they shoot sparkly stars up in the air, and it's pretty, but it's not cool. So I would take one of the tubes, and I'd take all the stuff out of the other tubes, and put it all into one tube, and little JB Weld. You know, I'm not upgrading fireworks. I'm consolidating them, just so we're clear. And nor do I recommend it. It's bad. And but like the stars, they kind of like take away from the whole energetic release. They just sparkle. So I was grinding them up in an electric coffee grinder. And I don't know if you know anything about fireworks, but the thing that makes it sparkle in the little stars is iron filings. And the coffee grinder had a metal blade. So I'm looking at this stuff getting pulverized, and I see a sparkle inside the coffee grinder, and it's getting ready to go all the way bad. But in that instance, I knew exactly what I had to do. So I was inside. So I held the lid down on the coffee grinder and contained it as much as I could. I got second-degree burns on my hands, but 10 for 10, I'd do it again, because I'm not going to let my decisions negatively affect somebody else. I know it's not throwing yourself on a grenade, but it's definitely adjacent, you know, because that was the only right thing to do. Because we all make mistakes. I've created a bad set of circumstances that could negatively affect those around me. So I'm going to do everything I can to prevent that from happening, because that's the next right thing to do. And I wasn't afraid. Like, it definitely did hurt. But nobody else got hurt. But yeah, courage, which is defined not by necessarily the action, but the motive behind that action. Like, oh man, you're gonna get shot, so I'm gonna like jump in front of a bullet. Don't recommend that. If it can be avoided, absolutely. That's not a good business model. But if you're jumping in front of a bullet to protect somebody else, that's courage. If you're doing if the motive behind what you're doing, that could seem stupid. What makes it not stupid, what makes it courageous, is the motives, your reasoning behind it. If you're doing something for me, if I'm doing something for me, it's probably stupid. If I'm doing something scary for we, that's could be defined as courageous because of that distinction. And the word fearless in step 4 doesn't mean without fear. It's still fucking scary looking at all the fucked up shit we did. And putting it out on paper and breaking it down and then telling somebody else. Like if I could just, what if I admit to myself and to God? Is that like 2 out of 3 isn't bad, you know? Like, what if, is that enough? No, because you're still scared. You would still, the only reason it works the way it does is because of you're willing to take the power away from that fear and tell it to another human being. Be mindful of who you tell it to. Get a good sponsor. A priest, where you got like some assurances that it's not going to wind up on the interwebs or Twitter in this day and age. Find somebody good. Doesn't have to be your sponsor. But I'd highly recommend it. But that's why that part of that step is there. In order to like truly let go of all this shit we put down and charted out, and it's cool we understand our part in it and how it affects us. That's all cool, and it's definitely very introspective. It's basically CBT. It's a cognitive behavioral therapy. Understanding why we think about the things the way we think about them. But addressing the fear aspect is sharing it to another human being. That's how you take the power away from that fear. I can tell anybody anything. I don't always, just because some of the stuff I won't want to do that to them. If I needed to, I can tell. I can tell complete strangers that I got molested as a kid. Like, not something I'm proud of. Yeah. And I would definitely not bring that up under any circumstances before. Because I still had a lot of shame And it's scary. Like, who's gonna think? They're gonna think I'm some sort of. They're gonna think there's something wrong with me. Well, there is, but I don't. I let. I was so ruled by fear. I couldn't walk by the guy's house years after he moved away. Yeah. Yes.
I just want to say this. When you act with faith, you'll have no consequences to fear. And that's the good way to look at it.
Yeah. Nice. Very aptly put. I wish I had that on my list. Trash. But it's like every time we just take an honest look at fear and share it. Like every time you share in a meeting, even if your share in the meeting is just to say, man, I hate sharing. Like you're taking the power away from fear. You're also getting better at sharing. Because practice makes perfect. Neurons that fire together wire together. We don't like because we're ruled by it. And most, I mean, how many people in this room got high or drunk because they didn't want to deal with something that they should have been dealing with? Because we were scared to deal with it. We were scared of the discomfort. We were scared to have to face up to saying something. So instead, liquid courage, a little social lubricant, or just a heaping helping to fuck it all. And we did that predominantly because of fear. But if we're just rigorously honest and diligently do these steps, like categorically it takes the power away from fear. I'm scared of ladders. I'm scared of heights, really. I really do not like heights. A couple weeks ago, all right, so there's a light that's out 40 feet in the air, and siding needs put back up by a beehive. Okay, I ended up having to put don't do this. Please don't do this. But like the ladder I had wasn't tall enough to reach the light.
You were on the top rung,
Well, no, I backed my Blazer up, put down the tailgate. I put the end of the ladder on my tailgate, get me that extra 3 feet, because I had a job to do. Again, I don't do that. But and was I concerned about falling? I wasn't concerned about falling. I did everything I could. I stabilized the ladder. It wasn't going anywhere. Like, it was level. It was actually leveler than the asphalt in that part of the parking lot. Locked it in right where the tailgate hinges. And did everything I could to make sure things were safe. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do one job at a time. I'm not going to go over my reach. I'm just going to focus on one task at a time. Didn't look down a lot, but you know how I did it? Because I was really don't like it. It was really uncomfortable. Just did it one step at a time, one rung at a time. Like, that's it. Yeah, it's facts. Yes, it is a horrible pun, and I'm a dad. I can do dad jokes, but it's facts. Like, I put one foot ahead of the other. I kept one hand on the ladder at all times. Stayed focused on what I was supposed to be focused on, the task at hand. Did everything in my power to make sure that I'm doing things right. And nobody else. They were talking about getting a scissor lift. Like, that would have been nice, like 3 weeks ago when you started me on these jobs. I could have done everything in a day. Like, I mean, no, we're not getting the scissor lift. Like, I'm gonna finish the job I started. Didn't like it, but that was the right thing to do. Not the whole putting the ladder on the tailgate, but how I handle it. Just make sure I'm doing everything I can in my power, and taking it one step at a time. That's all I got.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Doc.
Thanks.